Colombia. Colombia nunca. Esclavo.
A U.S. invasion or attack on Venezuela could plunge South America into a Vietnam-style conflict. The chief foreign policy advisor to Brazil's president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has warned. In an interview, Celso Amorim called Donald Trump's recent decision to order the closure of Venezuelan airspace an act of war, and voiced fears the crisis could intensify over the coming weeks. The last thing we want is for South America to become a war zone, and a war zone that would inevitably not just be a war between the US and Venezuela. It would end up having global involvement, and this would be really unfortunate, said Amorim, a veteran diplomat and former minister in the first two of Lula's 3 terms. If there was an invasion, a real invasion, I think undoubtedly you would see something similar to Vietnam. On what scale it's impossible to say, added Amorim, who thought even some enemies of Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolás Maduro, would be inclined to join the resistance against such a foreign intervention. I know South America. Our whole continent exists because of resistance against foreign invaders, said Amorim. It's predicted that any U.S. attack would rekindle anti-American sentiment in Latin America similar to that generated by U.S. meddling during the Cold War. The Brazilian diplomat was speaking as Trump's 4-month pressure campaign against Maduro's regime continued to escalate. Since August, the U.S. has put a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head, launched the biggest naval deployment in the Caribbean Sea since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, and carried out a series of deadly airstrikes on alleged drug boats that have killed more than 80 people. Most international airlines have halted flights to Venezuela after Trump declared the country's airspace closed in its entirety. Late last month, a move Amorim called totally illegal, according to some reports. Trump gave Maduro a 1-week deadline to resign during a phone call on the 21st of November, a deadline that has passed. Many observers suspect Trump's next move could be to order strikes inside Venezuela in what is widely seen as an attempt to topple Maduro by provoking a military rebellion against him. Asked earlier this month if the Venezuelan dictator had offered to relinquish power, Trump replied, he will. Yet Maduro, who was democratically elected in 2013, but is widely believed to have stolen last year's election, has shown no sign of buckling. Amorim, whose government has not accepted Maduro's claim to have won the 2024 poll despite long-standing ties to his political movement, said Brazil opposed forced regime change despite recognizing there were problems with the vote count. If every questionable election triggered an invasion, the world would be on fire, said the diplomat, who emphasized he was speaking in a personal capacity, and not for Lula. If Maduro reaches the conclusion that leaving power is the best thing for him and the best thing for Venezuela, it will be his conclusion. Brazil will never impose this. It will never say that this is a requirement. We are not going to push for Maduro to step down or abdicate, added Amorim, who admitted Venezuela-Brazil relations were no longer as warm or intense as before. There has been growing speculation over Maduro's likely destination if he relinquishes power and enters exile. Potential sanctuaries are thought to include Cuba, Turkey, Qatar, and Russia.